Hi, welcome to the 92nd Street Y New York's panel with the creator and cast of Motherland, Fort Salem. I love that clip we just played, and I've already seen the first episode, and I can tell everyone that it's absolutely amazing. I'm Tracy Gilchrist. I'm the editor-in-chief of The Advocate, and I want to introduce our panel today. I'm going to start with our creator, Mr. Eliot Laurence. Hi, Eliot.
Hi, thank you so much for this.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we have Ashley Nicole Williams, who plays Abigail Bellwether. We have Jessica Sutton, who is Tally Craven, Taylor Hickson, who is Rael Collar, and Amalia Holm, who plays Scylla Ramshorn, Demetria McKinney, who is Anacostia Quatermain, who has the best name on the show. And then, of course, we wouldn't be anywhere without our General Alder, played by Lyne Renée. So thank you all for being here. I want to start, you've been on this journey for 3 seasons now, and it began ahead of this strange time that we've been living in. But I think you premiered right around the time of the pandemic in 2020. And I wonder if you would each talk a little bit about what this journey with these characters and each other has meant to you. And if I were a betting person, I would bet on who might cry first, but I'm not going to do that.
Tracy was about to out me or Jess.
I would say it's Jess, but
I am strong.
But I'll start with Eliot, and I'd love for you to just talk a little bit about what the journey has been for you and what it feels like wrapping up at this moment.
It's been so kind of life-changing and life-alteringly cool. I mean, to see something come to life before your eyes, played by people who make the characters so much richer and better than I could have ever dreamed, has been incredible. And then to kind of reach fans the way we've reached fans with this level of passion and sort of inspiring their own creativity to make stuff is kind of every creator's dream, to kind of connect. And like you're happy if there's like 5 of them, you know, but we have a lot more than 5. And I don't know, it's just been an incredible journey. I'm so proud of all of us to have kind of weathered how challenging it's been to make a show during these times. I'm just like, it's amazing that we got through it as well as we did. It's just been, you know, tough, and it kind of made it even more precious and poignant knowing that it was probably our last season, and it sort of just everything felt more valuable somehow. And yeah.
It must be so strange for you. I think about this often, but I don't think I've ever sort of been able to prompt this to you. But to have such a solid idea in your mind and paint such a picture, you know, you've talked about prior to this becoming a show, you tried it on as a movie, you tried it on as a book series. It must be so interesting to actually have these, you know, these little tangible chess pieces come to life and sort of having to just like let go of everything that you had, you know, completely concretely had in your mind, this worldscape for so long, and how surreal that must be to just sort of watch it build itself and take on its own life and adventure. That must be so strange, but interesting.
But in this case, it was like letting go of it and then it coming back to you in stronger, more potent shape than you sent it out. And that's like something special about this show in particular. It's just like, just the way that we wound up with you guys. Each of you just, you kind of are your characters in a lot of ways. And that's, I don't know, how often does that happen? There just felt like there was a lot of kismet in the way things came together. So.
I also think it was really valuable that we got to go on this journey, even with the uncertainty of the times, and we got this beautiful escape in this realm to play and build, but still keeping somehow in tow with what was really happening. I don't know what goes on in there, Eliot Laurence, but you had like this crystal ball kind of envisioning things to come, and we just kind of kept in play. So it was beautiful to get out of the realm of the reality that we've all been kind of stuck in, and also live in the battle, live in the fight, and get a fast forward to the victory that we all got to experience within Motherland. So thank you so much.
I also feel like even though like, because I feel like Abigail starts in a completely different direction than she ends in, right? But along the way, somehow Eliot wrote to what I was going through in my life. Like, I feel like life is imitating art so
Totally.
much filming this. Like when Abigail was at her lows, Ashley was at her lows. And I feel like we can all relate to that, especially season 2. Like shooting during COVID was very, very hard, like the thick of COVID. And I feel like everything Eliot wrote was really going on in real life, whether it was the world, whether it was in my life or anyone's life.
It was all in tandem, totally. It was absolutely bizarre.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what a really special show is all about, though. It kind of seeps into all of our lives this way. Maybe that's why it resonates so much. Who knows?
Absolutely.
For me, it was like, it was my saving grace, because yes, you know, it was incredibly tough under the circumstances that we were filming. But at the end of the day, I constantly reminded myself that I was the lucky one, that I was the one who was able to go to work. And I just have such an appreciation for what the film industry had to do to basically fit that new world that we were in to keep us going. And I don't know, it just heightens the respect and love that one brings to the job, because, you know, it's a machine, it's an army of people, and you all count on each other. And if one falls away, which we, you know, very much what happens then, it does tend to fall. But to stay upright and to find new ways to support the system and each other, I think we've done under circumstances and, you know, that were those, but I think we've done that in such a beautiful way and through our characters, and therefore saying goodbye to them also comes with an incredible, I don't know what that word is, but
okay, who's crying? Tracy, did you guess right?
My eyes are watering. I don't know.
I'm trying to suck it in. I can't have tears falling right now.
We haven't gone to just first. I want to say, Taylor, I don't know what your next gig is, but if you don't have one lined up, you should really look into panel moderating, because you have a knack for it. I'm
just so fascinated with everybody's brain to hear them tick, and I'm just who cares about what I have to say? I'm just listening to everybody.
Well, people do care, but yeah. But so good. Jessica, I do want to go to you, and I know I've asked you in past interviews what this experience has meant to you, but you know, we're at a different inflection point now, and I wonder if you would talk a little bit about where you are at the journey at this point and what it's meant to you.
I just feel so grateful and privileged to be a woman and an artist, and a South African at this exact moment in time. In context to the show, but also in context to my world. I think, as Eliot and everyone is saying, it's just this art imitating life. It's been 4 years of a love story on and off screen. I will not cry, Tracy. I will not cry.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful part of you.
I am wide open to, I think I'm still processing, having just finished shooting. Like, it feels like yesterday, but I know that we've had some downtime now, and it's still percolating. I feel so privileged to have been a part of a show that speaks into purpose and power, to have played a character that has helped me stand in my strong and be more honest and stay open. Just stay open, no matter how hard it can get. And life promises pain. So the resilience and endurance and the character that you ultimately need to build is, as we all mature into who we need to become, Season 3 speaks a lot into destiny, and without ruining anything, I won't go into spoilers. It just was full circle for me. Playing Tally, there was the last day I walked off set, there was not anything that I wished I could have done with the character. It was just like I had this epic feeling of it wasn't closure, it was as an artist. I felt how lucky am I to get these people who aren't amazing in just their caliber of excellence and skill and craft, but the bonus is that I like them, I love them. And is it unprofessional to say, but it's just, I'm the luckiest person that I know. So I just walk away from this experience with a heart full of gratitude, feet firmly grounded, and I find myself beginning again.
Thank you for that.
Which
Yeah.
is a soul.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
but parting is painful, but I get to walk away with these people who have been my mentors and my friends. Yeah, so it's not a goodbye.
Yeah, and Amalia, I know it's hard to come after Jessica, but I do really want to know what you're feeling at this juncture as well, and how it's been with this 3rd season.
Well, I guess it's a bit of a piggyback, but to me, and we discussed this, all of us before we wrapped, that it's these 4 years, 3 and 4 years, have been like, what can you compare it to? And it's like, is it like going to high school with some people? Like you're put in this, or like in the trenches, like, but you're put with these people. And as an actor, you don't usually get to pick who you work with. You just have to trust that it's with the right people and for this thing to work. And I don't know, my mind's just spinning about who, I wonder how big of an impact Eliot is having on our lives, like on our personal growth, because I resonate so much with what Jess is saying, like what Scylla has taught me about life and who I'm becoming. And is there like a sliding doors moment? Had we all played different roles in these, who would we have become? And how I'm not forever going to carry Scylla with me. And the insight I've gotten into these other characters, and just, yeah, it's been wonderful. It's been amazing 4 years, and I'm so grateful that you, Eliot, and your co-producers gave me personally the privilege of playing a role on this show, because I've loved it. I've loved it so much. And yeah, thanks for hiring these other people, because they were great. They were so much fun to work with.
Can I be kind of indulgent and ask, I actually would love, I'm going to take control here. I'm going to ask each of you what your character, what you're going to bring from Scylla into the rest of your life.
Well, Eliot, I must say that was one of my questions. So thank you for anticipating.
Oh man,
Brilliant minds think alike.
You're in charge.
It can be and it doesn't have to be some deep thing. It can just be like a
but it
walk.
is.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
I've talked to
moderator
Lynn
of
about
life
this.
and death.
I've talked to Lynn a lot about this with the general, for sure.
Yeah.
Finding Lynn, like when you found her.
Yeah. No, because that was, for me, was the biggest challenge was like the level of difficulty, just because of the accent, and you know, I'm a farm girl from Belgium, and I had to go and play this, you know, general, and for me it was just like, how do people believe that? How do I believe it? And how does someone, you know, like that, you know, rule and lead with both incredible, you know, vigor and strength, but also with truth, and it was that confidence that I needed to look. And so I think what I'm taking Alder with me. I mean, wherever I go, General Alder has changed my life so incredibly. And there was a point where I had to choose, because there was another offer on the table, and I was like, I just, you know, I was growing my hair and nails already to play Alder. I so fell in love with her, because I think she was maybe the missing link in the woman that I wanted and needed to become, which I now have, and which I am taking with me. So Eliot, thank you for that.
So nice.
Beautiful.
Well, I
question.
asked you, Amalia, and then I didn't let you answer. I'm sorry.
No worries. Well, I mean, the easy answer would be that in the pilot in season 1, she really like taught me to flirt a little bit. But then ever since, I can't just say that that's the biggest takeaway because
It's totally valid.
It's on me, girl.
I mean, it's one of these things where we're all at different stages in our lives, and I would say that these years have been formative for me. But it's also been the first time I've been away from home that much, and it was tough, of course, but it was also awesome because I never would have put myself away from home that much. I've never planned to move abroad or anything like that, but because of Motherland, I kind of did, and that was so cool that I could do that on my own. And I don't know, yeah. So it's like very intertwined, this whole experience and playing Scylla, and just from the character, I would say to not maybe I don't know, to be more not independent. I don't think that's the word I'm looking for, but there's something, guess what Jess said too, like holding your own ground.
Self-possession,
Yeah.
self-possessed.
Yes.
Like,
And then I'm like, well,
I'm
or is it
enough.
just these 4 years of getting older? It's hard to know what's what, but it was really, really wonderful to get to learn so much about film production, because when you're in a role like this, you see everything that's happening, and that has been an amazing takeaway as well. Yeah, and I resonate so much with the romantic in Scylla. So I don't know if that was before or after, who gave who what, but
So do I. I mean, like every single face here has taught me so much about how I now understand myself and how I now understand people in the world. You know, I've been encouraged, I've been humbled, I've just watched these people before me as teachers and learned to listen more rather than talk, and that I know nothing. I'm this very small piece in this massive working machine, and Rael really taught me what it means to lead when it's important, and to let others take lead when to learn how to say,
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. I don't know how I feel. I don't know what that means. I don't, and the navigation of sort of succumbing to understanding that things are bigger than you, and leaving room for that. But then, also she's completely changed the trajectory of my life, just in terms of storytelling and what's important to me, and where I stand in my queerness, and being an ally, and how I want to tell stories, and what's important to me, and how I take roles in the future, and what I stand for, and the message that I want. I started writing screenplays. I've started making music. I've started, like, all of this has come from the roots of the thing that Eliot birthed, that just started as an idea that was manifested into things you can touch and feel and experience. And there is no thanks great enough to wrap that experience and tie it with a bow. They're just like, there's not verbal communication. It's just an understanding. It's a feeling, and it's just being present and being loved and giving love. And that's the most you can give to this. It's so much greater than I think any of us could possibly try to attach words to. But I mean, here we are trying. So
I feel like for me, like season 1, Abigail gave me this sense of confidence that I didn't have. Like, she was so confident, whether it be with boys, anyone. Like, I would step in her like BDU boots. I remember I was doing a stunt rehearsal, and Ernest was like, you're just not getting that. And I like put on my full uniform and I got it. Like, I just had the confidence from Abigail's shoes, honestly. But I feel like over time, throughout all the 3 seasons, she's taught me that, like, it's okay to fail. and like accept that and sit in it. And like, you just got to keep going and keep pushing on. Like, it's okay. And it's also okay to ask for help when you don't know the answers and you don't know where to go when you're at your lowest. I feel like season 2, she really taught me that. But then you can work with other people to become the leader and person you want to be, and not saying like, for me, I want to be a leader, but just like, you do need other people to help you get to the type of person you want to be. And I feel like you guys have helped me in that, because I was 19, 20 when I started this show, and now I'm about to be 24. I really like, those were my most like transformative years. And I spent them with these people. They've seen me cry, they've seen me angry, they've seen all of it. And I feel like they've helped me grow as Ashley, just as Abigail has helped me grow as Ashley. So yeah, I feel like just leaning on people, and, you know, it's okay to fail and cry and throw a fit, but you're going to make it through either way, because we all do in some way in this show and in life. So
Asking for help, Ash, that's a great one. That's a big one.
yeah.
Knowing that you don't have to do it all by yourself.
How about you, Demetria? We haven't heard about what you've learned from Anacostia and playing really an interesting character, I think, because of Anacostia's relationship both with Scylla and then with Alder, and kind of being in this interesting space of understanding various perspectives.
There were a couple of thoughts that flashed through my head like a ticker tape. One was, I'm right. Not in a dismissive, condescending, typical Virgo kind of way, but in this desire and in this okayness to trust your instincts. Anacostia leaned so heavily on Alder at the beginning, and she saw Scylla as such a no, and she saw the potential in these girls, but then at times she was like, you know, it was just a lot of different emotions that had Anacostia looking like a duck above the water, and underwater she was kind of like, what in the absolute? So in that, she had to learn to trust herself and be okay with trusting herself and finding her own path. But that was for Anacostia. And what I would say that she taught me was that we're always on a path of learning. I think somewhere in my subconscious, I always knew that, but watching these younger people, I'm fine with it. I really am. Watching these people grow and blossom and bloom, not only within their characters and not only with Eliot watching his vision come into this tangible breathing thing, but in life and in my own. You know, I've been through a lot. I thought I knew a lot, and I'm learning that with each step is a new opportunity, and none of it is wasted. The falls teach you, don't do that again. The lost friendships, they teach you, hey, I need to trust me. I have to be my own. And the biggest thing is that time reveals what that next lesson is going to be. You cannot predict what you're supposed to learn, who you're supposed to be, but being a part of the evolution and being willing to enjoy the ride as you go is super important. So Anacostia turned from this really kind of militant, structured person to a little bit more of a, I guess, hippie in her own way. Like she was like, oh, you know, so I think I learned to loosen my reins a bit through her.
Beautiful.
Is that ever, Jessica, did you want to add a little bit to what you've learned from Tally? You touched on it a little bit.
I think just, yeah, I mean, Dee, oh, sure, you got the words. Beautiful. I mean, to add on to that would just be how Tally has taught me to live into the question. And I know that we can get wrapped up in seeking answers and searching for certainty, but I think there's a better trade. I would give certainty and comfort for change. I mean, change in my mind before this show, I just like am terrified of it. Just like, this cannot happen. And the same, I guess, the thing that Dee's speaking into, the resistance, this feeling of like, nope, that is not happening. If you just stop and pause long enough to just get curious about it and just to watch it and to embrace that evolution and to see that you can become more than you ever thought. And that in change lies our destiny, our purpose, our power. There's nothing to be scared of. You know, I saw myself really mature from, I guess, I can come alongside my fear now. I can sit and then it can chat to me as it does, but I'm not letting it drive. There's no way that it's driving. And so, yeah, I think living into the question.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for all of that. And Demetria, you mentioned that Eliot, I think it was you who said he had some sort of crystal ball.
Yeah.
A lot of my questions are around that because I always look at things in terms of politics and social mores and et cetera. And something that was key to Motherland, Fort Salem from the beginning was the idea of voices coming together in power to defeat a common enemy. And that's a big metaphor to my mind. I'm not going to ask Eliot this one because I have another one, but I wonder, Lynn, having played General Alder, who, and I should also say, the pilot also goes a little more deeply into, not the pilot, sorry, the first episode of the third season goes a little more deeply into where these voices derive from. And so I would love to ask Lynn what it means to you to have played this character where this idea of many people, many kind of oppressed people coming together to defeat a common enemy, you know, what you've gleaned from playing this character and that part of this show. If that makes sense.
I will try my best. That was a lot. I was like, wait, what? How do I answer this?
Lynn and Alder. Very much.
This is what you get when cut is yelled.
I remember being so scared of Lynn before I saw her do something like that. And I was like, oh, she's one of us.
She's human.
I get it.
She's human.
Well, I mean, first of all, in the third season, I had an incredible opportunity to bring something completely different because we all know that we lost. I think we lost the Alder at the end of season 2, and we are left with the question mark: how and will she come back, and what will that new entity be? And without giving too much away, you know, of course, she is the Alder, and Alder is now, and stop me, anyone, if I'm saying too much, but Alder has become a new vessel and almost the new voice of trying to find that one true voice, which will ultimately lead us to the truth. Because I think that is almost a heart, I would say, of what this journey has been, you know, for me, at least as a character, because Alder has been in many truths and in many positions given, but I think this is something so new even for her, and there are completely new responsibilities. So I completely felt that I was treading very uncomfortable and soft and unknown ground. So I needed to grow a new pair of new boots of Alder. So that was an interesting quest, and therefore, like we have talked about before, how life imitates art, you know, how we were all, I guess, kind of trying to find a new voice or voice during these times. It was so beautifully lined up. into what that new quest was. And I hope with that, I have answered your question.
So good. You did so good.
Alder's seen like she's seen the most amount of faces. I would say out of all the characters, like the trajectory of just the piece of her life that we've been privy to enduring and seeing, you know, she's had probably the most substantial amount of growth. Like she's completely taken on a new vehicle. We have seen so many faces for her. She's been so many people, and I think who of anyone would be better to, you know, speak on behalf of all people. She's lived, or all witches, you know, she's lived so many lives within her own, and it's
Yeah,
that must
But I
be
think
it's that knowledge,
Wow,
right? The
navigate.
accumulation of knowledge, and then I think so.
It's also
Yeah.
so beautiful
Sure.
that as people are watching and living this life with us, right? You know, we're talking about the woman's voice and how powerful it is and how magical it is. I mean, we've all heard the beautiful cliche, I am woman, hear me roar, you know, lift your voice, my voice matters, you know, and I think that it's a beautiful display of women standing in their strong, as Jessica said, you know, and whether that voice is a whisper, whether that voice is a roar, you know, there is power there. And I think that we are embedding that in the young ladies, men's, queer, straight, whatever, you know, we're making sure that you understand the power that you wield, whether you're in this magical world or outside of it. So, you know, as we're talking about the voting and as you were talking about the political environment and all of those other things, you know, your voice matters. You have a say, you have this power, you have this responsibility almost to one another. And the more our voices come together, the better we are equipped to fight those battles we all face each day.
Here.
Beautifully put. And I want to add to that as well, that to me, this show has meant so much about what is authority, what is patriotism.
Yeah.
Should you blindly trust your leaders, or are they not really sure what they're doing either, but are they still maybe doing the best they can? And can we have trust in our leaders and at the same time criticize them? And can we, you know, through democratic means, so Scylla, Scylla later seasons, you know, have an impact on that and course correct without jumping the ship.
Yeah.
Course correct democracy, like make democracy better, because it's not flawless. It's just the best we've got.
Yeah.
And I think that Motherland is just, it's just such an intelligent way of making people think about these questions. The first season, I remember in the beginning of the season, some people were, some of the fans or the viewers approached the series, and maybe still do, as being very patriotic. Whereas to me, it wasn't at all. And I just thought that was so cool that we could have so different views on while watching it. And I wish I could speak to those individuals today and see how they feel about that approach throughout season 2, and especially after watching season 3. It's so cool. And
such different
thank you, Eliot, for putting this in the world.
Eliot, I forgot the most important thing. I have yet to come across a character description that has even come close to Tally's character description. I mean, when actors get briefs, you know, sometimes we get the side, sometimes we get the scripts and the side. You know, you get 18 to 25 woman, girl, teenager, not really actable things. You're like, cool, okay, that's an age. That's like, that's a lane. I mean, I wear the face that I wear. But this man describes a character like living exclamation mark, like on the anatomy of spirit kind of level. That's where he writes from.
It was like a page long of it. I remember.
And I'm like, oh, I know
analysis.
Who this person,
Analyses.
I don't know who this person is. Like literally on a soul level. I'm like, I think I know something about that. And that's potentially the coolest description I have ever come across. So I'm waiting for somebody to top that, but I don't think there will be. And I will say,
sorry.
when you debriefed me for this season, you made an emphasis on hope. And I think just again, bringing that back to the stubborn gladness quote from Jack Gilbert.
I was just going to ask you
about
for
you
that
need
quote.
this, you need the stubborn gladness against the furnaces of this world. I think if there's such a time, and we're talking about COVID, we're talking about levels of isolation that I think we've all been dwelling in, and there's been a lot of change, there's been a lot of fear, and evolution kind of feels inevitable in that state. But hope, to live
You
for
are so
it.
Tally.
Like,
You are Tally.
to live for that.
Yes,
Stubborn
eat up that
gladness.
description, the character description. She was
Only
like,
Tally would say that. And here
And
you
this
are.
is what this season is, without giving any spoilers away. It is the theme of hope, and
Yeah.
I love that. It's, you know, just to add to the power and the voice of everything that we were talking about, the sense of belonging is also what I walk away from, is that our stubborn gladness is also in asking for help, leaning on the people that have each other's backs, and being in service of that, of love. What is greater than that? I don't know. But thank you, Captain.
Oh,
I love this natural flow. This is amazing. The feedback you're all giving each other is so beautiful. I want to stick to a little bit of the socio-political. I have a question. I'm going to go to Ashley for a moment because it won't be hard, I don't think.
Okay.
You play Abigail Bellwether. Something that Motherland Fort Salem does rather well is kind of level the playing field for traditionally marginalized groups of people, whether they're people of color or whether they're queer, women, etc. And Abigail Bellwether is from this family of power. They're, Anacostia has power. I mean, the president is Cheryl Lee Ralph. I mean, and yet, I think it's so important that these women, these Black women especially, are shown in power, and then yet, even in this world, they have to face off with this white patriarchy. And we see that with the vice president especially. And I wonder if you would talk a little bit, Ashley, about what it means to have played this character and in this beautiful world.
Well, I mean, I've said this so many times. When I got this audition and I saw that one of the 3 leads was a Black lead, I was like, Mom, like, this is insane. This is so cool. Like, I don't know. I never saw that, like, growing up, and to get to play a character who can be this kick-ass, badass, storm, whatever Abigail Bellwether is for other little Black girls is so important to me. Because I feel like now in Hollywood, like, people of color are like getting a chance to like really be like the leading woman or the leading man, right? And you don't have to have us as slaves or things like that, you know what I mean? But I to point to the slave thing, I think it's so important that Eliot has like brought in the history of slavery, and you're going to dive into that a little more in season 3, and like how history can be taken away from Black people and it can get lost and things of that nature. I don't think that was a spoiler.
I think that's good, Ash.
Okay, good. No, but I just feel like representation is so important, because I just want people to see themselves no matter who you are on a screen. And playing this role has been so important to me as a woman, as a Black woman, and to be able to share the screen to where we tell stories for the LGBTQ community. I feel like that's so important, and that's a really big reason that our show is so big, because people felt like they could not see themselves on screen. And I feel like Eliot has created this world where everyone can see themselves on screen. You know, we have every race in our show. And also, we don't have to stick to like the same race dating one another. Like, you know, like my boyfriend, Adil, is, you know, Asian. And, you know, like Tally and Garrett, You know, that was an embarrassing. Almost gave something away, but I didn't.
Nice move.
I tried so
You
hard.
swerved it back.
I swerved it back in there. I
Oh.
just think it's so important, especially in this day and age when people are just trying to take so many things away from everyone.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't just point to one specific group. And I just feel like our show just embodies all of that. If I weave that back in, I lost my way, but
Oh, no, you did. That was,
bring it
That was
back.
great.
Beautiful, Ash.
that was so well said. And it also kind of leads me into my question for Eliot, which is actually bouncing off of Demetria's idea that he has a crystal ball in his head, because I'm watching the show, and as a queer person, I can't not think about the rights attacks on LGBTQ plus kids, especially trans kids. I mean, the vice president sacrificing his daughter. And that's not a spoiler, right? That was the last.
That's okay.
I'm like, I can't remember. It's so poignant to me. And I don't know if it's an overreach, but it feels like a complete metaphor for that. And I wonder if you would speak to that a little bit, Eliot.
I think you're right, but when I'm thinking about this stuff, I don't want to be too kind of prescriptive or too literal, because then I feel like I would get after school specially or like lessony. But what I try to do is just read and think and open my heart to kind of the stories of the world, and hopefully they filter into the art and kind of come back in organic ways, hopefully. So but all of that stuff was totally on my mind, and so much more. You know, the fact that we're seeing, you know, a war in Europe and all of that stuff. It all filters in and comes out, but I just try not to be too preachy about it, I guess.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it is.
tastefully, like everything you put in the show is so tasteful, and I don't feel like you're just like screaming like what you
I
believe
hope
on
not.
the screen. No, it's not at all. Like, at all.
I love that it sparks conversation. You know, we're looking at an alternate possibility to what this world could be on so many different levels. And the beautiful thing about this is that we get to display the possibility and start the conversation so that we can see the changes that we're hoping for. You know, everybody having their say in their space and taking that space with pride, whatever your nationality, whatever your sexuality, whatever your past, you know, having that space to be and evolve into who you're supposed to be with the people you want. You know, I think it's a testament to just getting the conversation started through art.
And to create the world that we want.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was in my, sorry.
No,
You were in the zone.
Sorry,
I interrupted.
I was in the zone.
No,
I was just like, I
didn't
was
get
feeling
through.
Demetria.
But
I was
it's
just
true.
like,
It's just, there is an aspect of it, Jess, that is like you make a picture of something that you want to happen. And there is a part of Motherland that is absolutely about me creating images of what I want to see. So I love that you said that.
yes. It's like continue the conversation
Yeah.
to create the world we want.
Yeah.
We want women in power.
I mean, I would like to see Cheryl Lee Ralph as president. So
Wouldn't we all?
I have to say, I will just be skewered if I do not ask some specific Rael and some questions. I will be absolutely skewered on social media if I
Yes, you will.
don't. I have to say,
We apologize.
Amalia, when I interviewed you last year, I asked what you could tell us about season 2, and you said then that Scylla and Rael are endgame. And now here we are at season 3, and I know you can't give it away, but in your heart, what do you feel about Scylla and Rael and as them as endgame?
I stand by my words.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Is there anything you would like to add about how the relationship has developed on screen and, working with Taylor as well.
Working with Taylor, can I talk about that?
Yeah.
Well, I've already said this. It's going to start to get a little stalky and crazy, but I will be jealous of the next person who gets to play the on-screen love interest of Taylor Hickson, because it is a privilege, and I love that part, and I'm territorial about it because it's just so wonderful. She's like the best on-screen romantic interest I've ever gotten to work with, because it's so that's out there now on record, and
it's so mutual though. But like the thing that's so great about what we built is that it continues living. Like there's no finite end to it. It's like it's bigger than people. It's spirit. It's life and death. It's like the whole cycle of everything. It's just something that's larger, so no one else will ever compare to what we have, baby. It's okay.
Oh, come on for the baby. That did something to me.
Babe, I felt that, baby.
She taught me how to flirt too. Like I'm telling you.
Oh, is
I'm serious.
I
I think that's one of the things that was so great about our auditions was like I thought I screwed it up so bad because she threw me off horribly in the audition room. I mean, Eliot was there, he saw it, but like the other person they brought in, I knew. And so we already had a rapport. We had practiced in her living room because we both were from Vancouver. But then I got in the room with Amalia and I was thrown left, right, and center. And I was like, well, that's not how I practice it. And I didn't think she would do it that way. And I have no idea. And I was like, I completely screwed it up. Like I was sweating bullets. And then, and then I found out while we were still in LA that she booked it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm screwed. But I think it worked for me because you made me so unsettled.
that sounds horrible.
No, it's
in a great
now,
way.
but
Okay, good.
that's
That's
it.
just the nature of love sometimes.
That's why you're our set siren.
Facts.
I love that.
Um,
Thank
those
you,
eyes.
both of you for that. And Taylor, I do want to ask, because it's been such an important pairing, it's been such important representation for queer women. And I wonder if you would, at this juncture, I think I've probably asked you this before, but would you talk at this point what it means to you to have played this character in this relationship that is meaningful to people who don't always get to see themselves portrayed?
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken a lot to this in particular, and Amalia and I have had many conversations about this, but like I in particular, I think was quite a bit ignorant because I've always seen myself, I'm quite like cisgender presenting and hetero presenting. There's nothing about me that would derive any sort of discrimination. So like everything that I've watched on screen, I think I was able to relate to. There was so much content out there for me, and I had never even given it thought what it would be like to have absence of that and having to completely figure it out for yourself. And that's something I've had conversation with a lot of my queer friends and even like my housemates and just that's why I think their relationships are so different to what we know to be on screen. Is just because they had to create that for themselves. They had to invent that. They had nothing to reference. So it blows my mind now that this is we're part of the generation that's starting to create content for these young queer people and queer children, and they have something to reference to. They understand that what they're feeling is it's that they have reference, and I think that they don't have to feel ashamed by it. They can see it on screen and not go, why doesn't my feeling, why don't my relationships look anything like what I watch on television? We are creating a future for children that hopefully won't ever have to ask that. And that's the power of what Elia's ideas are and how much it's grown beyond us. But it's like I myself was part of being ignorant to that, and I walked into this as I would any other professional work setting, and just looking forward to creating with other artists, like all the talented faces you see here. And I I just put my heart into it. And, you know, I think Amalia and I were both really shell shocked by the reaction we got. It wasn't, we didn't realize the power of, well, I in particular, I think I really didn't understand the gravity of what it was that was being created. And maybe Eliot with his crystal ball did. And, you know, he had access to that projection, but it's, you know, it's such an honor to see that, you know, I had a little piece in making storytelling for our future.
Well, I want to thank you personally, Eliot, the two of you, for playing these roles, because not to make this about me, but as someone who is older than I think all of you, I never saw myself on screen. And so you're handing me a story that I never had, that I continue to crave. So you're not only giving it to people coming up behind you, you're giving this story to people who came up before you who didn't have it. So it's even bigger than that. So, you know, I just want to thank all of you for all these portrayals that are, you know, handing back narratives to people who didn't see them. So that's a really big deal. And I've been very serious throughout all of this. So I want to go around and ask you each for a favorite memory or scene or something from, I know you still have some to shoot, but thus far, a favorite memory or scene together. And Lynn, I'm going to go to you first.
Why do you keep doing that to me? I'm like thinking, I'm looking at all these beautiful faces and going like, oh, I can't wait to hear instead of thinking about my own.
You know what? I was just aware that I hadn't thrown it to you for a while. So who would like to go first on that one with a favorite memory or
I will. You were talking about the amazing Cheryl Lee Ralph, who is such a dream, and President Kelly Wade has such an incredible storyline this year. She gets pulled into the center of everything.
She's got the best line.
Say, one of my favorite on-set memories was in season 1. It was when Alder was puppeting the president, and we were shooting Cheryl Lee Ralph's side of the scene. And, you know, on set it's crazy. There's a lot going on. I think there was a miscommunication or a bad call time or something, and we couldn't find Cheryl Lee Ralph. And, you know, when you're shooting, it's like, that's a big problem. And it was World War III. We finally found her. She walked in and she gave a speech to us, a 4-minute speech to us in one take, and then just walked off. And I was just like, what? One take, perfection, and then bye.
That's someone with a theater background.
Oh.
Yeah, no kidding.
Amazing. Well, thank you. Anybody else with an anecdote you'd like to share?
How fun. I did there are so many. Whoa, I love you all.
We love you.
Which is this episode? I don't remember which episode off top it was, because all of these different things are flooding in. But there was this day of shooting where Lynn and I went from battle warriors next to each other. She had just been stripped in season 2 of her things, and she's come back strong and still with this mindset of we have to be a unit, right? And so even though there's this tension between she and I, we get in this space where the Camarilla are coming right for us. And she's like, so what do, you know, I'm like, what do you do? She said, we fight to the bitter end. And I'm like smiling, and she's giving that thing that she does. And we go through that scene of, you know, this fight scene that's just complete emotion. And we get into her part and she's doing that. And then we get in this back room and everything has to go really silent. And it's just this beautiful transition from warrior to vulnerability with somebody that I had so much playing opposite of. Just, it was this incredible moment. And those are the things as an actress that I've just lived for. There are times where you're doing the work because you need that money. But this has not been that. And that is one of those moments where we got to play, we got to cry, we got to embrace each other like everybody else left, and we were just in that space. And that tunnel vision is something I value for eternity.
Well, on that note, I think I just remember my moment, and I'm gonna have to piggyback on you, of course, Deepa, because I think it was after 2 brutal days where, you know, you're shooting and you turn around and you have to keep an emotion going and going and going. until the director came up to me and they were like, Lynn, we still owe that little shot when you turn around and you look at Dee. And, you know, it's of course the moment when you have to break completely. And I completely panicked and I ran over to Dee, and she just knowing me coming over and being like, I have a problem. She was like, what's wrong? I'm like, I need this moment and I need your help. And it's then when you know you have an actor in front of you who goes, I got you, don't worry, because we do, you know, mess around in between takes and this and that. And, you know, in within all the chaos, you just have to look at each other. And we didn't have to say anything. And just by, it's a touch, you know, sometimes we put our foreheads together just to get to that emotion, and to be able to share that with someone and get there is just, it's something you'll never forget.
Well, speaking of that, that's like, I feel like sometimes I get scared like that, Lynn, on set a lot when I have a very emotional scene, even though like, you know, you can do it, but you just like panic immediately. You're like, oh my God. I find it happens often with Jess and Taylor when we have like scenes of 3 and we always go and we hold each other's hands. And it's like, I can just feel their love from me go from them to me, and immediately, not me crying. I lasted so long. Immediately, I'm just there and present and in the scene with them, because I just know like I can do it, and they're gonna be there to help me do it, and I don't have to like do it alone in the scene. And I think that's kind of like what Lynn's saying. So that's honestly one of my special moments from this show. I know it's supposed to be like funny.
That's okay.
Not supposed to be anything.
Yeah. Anyone else have something they want to share about a moment on set or working with each other?
Oh, I got one more.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Yes, please.
It was before we ever started filming.
Oh.
I was in my audition. I had done, it was my very first, and yes, I'm older, but it was my very first whatever with the network, right? And I walk into this room and there is this gorgeous young lady sitting there. And she's like, hello, I'm Amalia. And I'm like, oh, you're Scylla. And I knew. And from that moment, I knew I had a friend. We did the auditions. We went to this little restaurant, like right around the corner. And I had gotten my call as we were walking. I kind of lagged back. And I got my call and I was absolutely quiet because there were 2 of us up for Anacostia, and the other young lady was there with us. And I wanted to be respectful and understand the artist space first and foremost. And so we're sitting there and Amalia's agent is trying to call her and her phone's doing something crazy. And I still have that phone. I am honored to say I found out that Amalia was still on my phone. Right. Maybe so excited. And then we were able to share the news, and the outpouring that we had for her was all through all of us. So it was just really great to know that I had not only met an amazing actress, but an amazing person.
Ran into you guys right after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was terrifying. So scared. I was like, oh, you guys got the call already?
We answered the call.
Yeah, tests though. I thought our tests were the day after, and theirs were the day before, right?
I was walking out for lunch and I passed them and I was like, oh, hey guys. And they were sitting out on a patio and they're like, yeah, we just got our call. I was like, cool. Yeah. Love that for you. Congratulations. Wow. Yeah. Checking my phone, like right in front of them. Great. Okay. See you. Congrats. Bye. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, if they don't like me with her, that's it. That's a wrap. I'm done. I'm done for.
No, I thought you already had it.
I'm glad I was fooling somebody because 2 weeks later, and then they were like, yeah, we're going to audition other people. And I was like, oh, good. And then the day after they called me and told me I got it. So I think they just wanted to screw with me. I don't know what the scare tactic was, but honestly,
it worked.
It worked. Yeah, it did something. But one of my favorite, actually quite a few of my favorite, and I think these are just coming back to me, as we're all talking about sort of earlier shooting, but I don't know why, but Demetria, I can never have a peaceful scene with you. Like, it's always the most intense emotions. I'm always screaming at you or crying, or you're telling me I fucked up or like something.
Never normal.
No, but it's like every time I feel like it would be so pent up in my chest, so much like Rael, and I would really have the chance to just play and get it all out. And it's like you showed up every time, and I was just like I don't know if I ever really thanked you for that, but we like every moment that I had with you that was just one-on-one, it was so intense, and I felt so much because I wanted you to protect me, but I also felt like sometimes you were against me, and it was just like so much push and pull that I think, you know, not necessarily was always written, but it was just like a collaborative of the storytelling and what you brought to your character. And so thank you, because you really gave me a lot of I think push as an artist to go there. And I think you pulled a lot of stuff from me that was like in a very deep well that I think I found very therapeutic in retrospect. So thank you.
You are very deep.
Something.
Okay, now
Don't dig too deep.
guys.
You probably won't like what you find. Like sludge or something. Something not good.
It was
Okay, well now you guys have all. I feel like I've it's just been such an honor acting with each of you. We've had scenes together, and yeah, the presence is quite something.
Mm.
I'm gonna cherish that forever. I don't have words for that, because but it was on and off. There were just moments, and kind of seemingly insignificant ones, but
That's it.
I remember getting home from the day and just feeling so satisfied as an artist.
Okay.
Like, I'm gonna say it, and I will cry now, Tracy.
I said that with love because
It's a safe space.
Tracy,
Nice.
I say this, that, you know, with endings, you know, and new beginnings, I'm speaking to my lucky stars. I'm putting it out there in the universe that I get to work with such an ensemble again. It's been such an honor. And I think what I will hold on to, outside of all the intimate, intense moments we've shared, is that final table reading, even on Zoom. I mean, and I think, you know, we'd all kind of resigned to the fact that we would not be reading in person, and that felt wrong, not sharing like actual space together and not being able to share donuts and hug afterwards and decompress, because we were all in our individual trailers, trying to rely on the Wi-Fi to hold. And we had the most incredible opening speeches from our studio president, our executive producer, our showrunner, people who were our very reason for being together. And it just felt epic. And it was epic. Yeah.
It was.
It was epic.
It was very hard to go back to work after that.
Yeah.
So
to go
hard.
back to
Like
work
on our
after
lunch
that.
break.
Yeah, on lunch,
Yeah.
and then you're like, okay, I'm ready.
Ash, you gotta tell
I'm
it
trying to
how you guys ran in the
Lyne Renée.
trailers.
Yeah, so after we were hung up on the Zoom table, I hear Jess's door fly open, and I was
I
already
heard you first. I heard you go in your trailer next to me.
because her door flew open, and I was already gonna come out to y'all, but I was like, all right, it's my time. I'm coming out. And
Your Jess's door swing open first.
Jess just grabs me. I go,
Like, literally like that. Like, that is not an exaggeration.
and then we go to Taylor, and we all were just like, and then I saw Lynn Lynn in the makeup trailer and I had to get touch-ups. And then our makeup artist was like, because Lynn came up and was like,
to each other.
yeah, she was like, don't. I've already touched her. Don't talk to her, Lynn. Lynn. I was just trying to check on me. Like, okay.
Lynn, all I remember is walking into the trailer, making eye contact with you, and you were just like,
Not now. Totally. I know.
not today. We gotta go work.
We would say that a lot though. Like if we knew it was gonna be emotional. I feel like me specifically, because like Jess would come up to me and be like, I'm just gonna miss that. I'm like, no, we're not crying.
Yeah, you would. You're good at that, Ash.
Thank you. I try because I'm a crybaby and I'll sit there and cry. And I can't do that. Not when I have to be like this warrior one day. Okay. I can't sit there.
You're Abigail Bellwether.
I'll go Bellwether.
You
Damn it.
can't cry.
Yeah, I can't. So,
Amalia, did you have any other favorite moments?
Oh, yes, several, but it's there's a big one that's from this season. So, and it's kind of
Same.
really my absolute biggest favorite. So I can't
I know that was a problem. I was like, I have to pull from all these other seasons, but like
Tracy, we're gonna
we
have
can
to
talk
come
about-
back and talk to you about our favorite moments from
Yes.
this season once
yes,
the season.
but
I
but
would-
I can say that when Taylor and I did our Salva scene in the pilot, it's a scene and a day I will remember for the rest of my life. That
Iconic.
experience, whew, it was so incredible. It was so much fun. It was so hard because imagine this is before the show came out. Like we didn't understand the tone of the show. We had some table reads. We had some separately shot scenes.
This was
you
the
know,
pilot too. This was like
That was for the
4 years
pilot,
ago.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it was just, it was so cool. And yeah, I'm so happy I got to share that with you, Taylor.
That was my first time kind of doing any like flying sequence or like it was so out of pocket and we had to shoot sort of the two I'll let you explain it, like the way we had to sort of divide the scene between two places.
Yeah, right. One thing was a big like studio green screen with manual cranes going up with like a bunch of people weighing them down so we could travel up. And then it's like, you're high on this illegal military drug. And we're like, what? And then you're also very flirtatious and you're kind of, and this is the best thing you've ever had. Also dangerous. So we're like, what?
And you're in love.
And you're in love. But we were kind of like teeter-totters. We were strapped so that like we were balancing on our butts kind of.
Yes.
And there was like 8 huge men operating us so that we're kind of flying around and like there was blowing fans.
And they're like, you're effortlessly flying. And we're like, doesn't feel like it.
It's an ab workout. I was like, really? Because this hurts.
oh my God. Oh, so a time in episode, I think 7, 8, one of them in season 1, Taylor's trying to recreate that moment.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. That
Remember
was
you were out in the woods trying to recreate it. And our director was like, what did she say to you? She was like, reach out. It loves you. Something. Say it. So
I don't even remember what she said.
Taylor was having to look at something and she's like, now touch it and act like it loves you. And Taylor was up there like, what?
Oh, that was with the mycelial wall. Because there was another time that scene actually is referenced quite a bit throughout like the shape of the series. But like there was one point where I'm like reaching out to the mycelial wall. It's like the first time I get that little ick on my finger. And I'm supposed to be reaching out to touch it. And yeah, there's some of the stage direction was awesome.
It loves you.
And it loves you. I was like, oh, okay.
Go.
So I absolutely hate to do this, but Irina is pinging me.
Oh,
We're having too much fun.
Oh, well, she said we have to wrap. We're over time. And it felt like it went really quickly. So I hate to do this. I'm happy to chat with anybody later in the season as well. But I wanted to thank all of you for this really beautiful, thoughtful, heartfelt conversation. Jess, I was teasing you because I adore you. So
I adore you too.
thank you.
I can't.
So I want to thank all of you from Motherland, Fort Salem, and I want to thank the 92nd Street Y, New York, for this opportunity and all the beautiful fans who really love this series. And thank you.
Thank you for creating the space for us all to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes, this
Thank
was
you.
so lovely. Thank
I
you.
love doing this.
Great.
It's really good.
Well, you all take care.
Love you guys.
You
Bye.
take care.